Hello students, in this video you'll learn how to connect MySQL using a Python program. So I'm using this sample table for my programs. This is the employee table where I have fields employee ID, name, designation, basic, gender and department. Now learn the steps thoroughly. The first step to write any Python connectivity, MySQL connectivity program is to import mysql.connector package. Because the name is too big, you can use an alias name. Import mysql.connector as M or my. Give a short alias name. Then establish a connection. Once the connector object is included in your program, you have to establish a connection from Python to MySQL using the connect method. When you give the connect method within brackets, you have to give 4 attributes. This may be asked in MCQs also. The first one being the host, which is usually the local host, username, password and the database. So all these 4 options you have to fill in. Of these 4, the database can be skipped. It is optional. These 3 attributes are compulsory. Okay. Host, username, password and database. After establishing a connection, you have to declare a cursor object. A cursor is the object which will go and fetch your records in MySQL. So you have to declare a cursor object. After that, you have to input values if needed. What do you mean by if needed? For example, you're going to input values for a record, for a table. All the employee ID name, you will input the values and then insert them inside the table. For that, you need an input statement. If it is a simple select statement, this 4th step need not be given. Then construct the query. What is the query? Select star from whatever command or insert into the table name values. That query you have to write. After writing the query, you have to execute the query using the cursor object. After this is done, you have to either give the commit changes option, or if it is a select statement, you have to fetch the records and print it on the screen. Why do you need commit? For example, if you insert a value, the value will be not reflected immediately in the table. So to commit that, to force the data to be saved in the database, you will give commit command. So when will you use commit command? When you give commands like insert, update, delete, you have to give commit. If you are simply using a select statement, which means there are no changes in the data, so you need not give commit. So where will you give commit? Only when some changes are made in the data, you have to give commit. Otherwise, just fetch the records, display it on the Python screen and close the connection. Now let's get into a sample program. Before that, you have to learn how to construct a query using dot format or %s. So either you have to use %s or format. I'll show you how to use this. See, I'm going to input department name and fetch the names of employees from this particular department. Let me first input the department name from the user. So I'll give the department name as HR. Right? Now we are going to fetch the department details, the employee details of HR department employee. Okay, so how will you construct the query? The query should be select star from employee where department equal to this variable name, right? But when you give a string format, it is hard for the computer to remember differentiate between the variable name and the string, right? So to differentiate that, you have to use this format so that the computer will replace this open and close bracket with a variable. I'll show you how. Actually, you should give HR here. This is how you construct a query. Select star from employee where department equal to HR. But as of now, you cannot directly type HR here. Instead, you have to give the variable that the user has typed in this variable name. So remove this word which you have directly typed. Instead, you put a bracket here, open and close bracket, and put dot format. And what is the variable name that has to be substituted here? DEPT. Suppose you have given the variable name D, then you have to give dot format of D. Now, this is how the query will get constructed. See, select star from employee where department equal to HR. What actually happened? The value in this variable is substituted here. Okay. Suppose you have two variables, say department equal to HR, basic pay equal to 10,000. I'm going to construct a query like this. So how will you do it? Select star from employee where department equal to, here I should substitute what value? This D's value. So just give open close bracket, and basic pay equal to, this has to be inserted here. Instead give another open and close bracket, close the string. So this is the query which I'm going to construct. Now give dot format of, what is the first variable here? D. What is the second variable that has to be inserted? BP. So D comma BP. So what will happen? D's value will be substituted in the first bracket. The second variable's value will be substituted in this place. See how the query is constructed. Now, there's one thing that you have to remember. When you give a string, you should give a quote here. Do you remember? If it is a char or varchar data type, you have to enclose it within a quote. But here for this integer, you need not give that. So to give that, the same string, here you have a double quotes. So in this place, you have to give a single quote, so that there is no clash between this double quotes and this quotes here. See now, beautifully it's constructing the query. This you have to save it as a query and run this. Okay, now let's get into the steps for the program. This is a program which will display the list of employees whose designation is manager. First step, import mysql.connector as my, so that I need not use such a big name in my program. I've given an alias name. This is step 1. Step 2 is to connect Python and MySQL. For that, this object dot connect, which requires 4 variables. So host, which is the local host, username, which is user, password, which is PASSWD, and the name of the database to which you're going to connect. In the exam, they will give all these details, username, password, all those details will be given. Then declare a cursor object. The cursor object should be declared with a connection object. After that, construct the query. What is a query? Select star from employee where the designation equal to manager. And for this, I have to give a quote. So I've given it as a single quote. Then execute this query. Once this query gets executed, suppose there are 20 managers in my organization, all the 20 records will be taken from MySQL, but to display how many you are going to fetch from that, from out of that, you need not fetch all the records, only the required records. Now I need all, so I'm using a function called fetchall. Suppose you don't want all the 20 names, you want only 5 names, then you can use fetchmany of 5. Suppose you don't want all this, you just need one record, give fetch 1. But now I'm going to fetch all the records. If you are going to fetch all the records who are managers, then you definitely need a loop to print one by one. Now, whatever the number of records are fetched, that will be stored in the variable called REC. Now, what data type is this REC? REC will contain a list of tuples. List will enclose the entire thing, whereas every record will be in the form of one tuple. I will print that and show you later. Now, for every element in that list, I am printing every record one by one. Because I am not making any change in the table, I am simply using a select statement, so I am closing the connection. In case you give insert or update or delete, you have to commit it. Then you can close the connection. So let me execute and show you. Now look at this. These are the 5 records, and see, I am printing record by record. Are you able to see this tuple? So every record is displayed in the form of a tuple. So all the managers in the table are getting displayed, all the manager details. I will make a small change in this program. Instead of printing it record by record, I am printing the entire thing so that you can understand how it gets printed. See, check it out. This is the list. Are you able to see? The entire list that is fetched from MySQL. It is a list of tuples. Are you able to see the tuple one by one? It's getting fetched. Now, the same program, instead of fetching all the records, I'll give fetch many of 3. So what do you think will happen? Previously, there were 5 records that were displayed, but now I'm fetching only 3. So let me check how it gets displayed. See, only 3 records are getting displayed, which because I have given fetch many of 3. In case I give fetch 1. Now, the problem is you need not use a loop at all, because you're not going to get this many details. Only one record gets printed because I've given fetch 1. So hope you understood the use of fetch 1, fetch many and fetch all. And what is the data type of the fetched variable? It's a list of tuples. Now let's get into the second question. Now look at the second program. Write a Python program to input values for the employee table and insert them. So either you will get a program to fetch records using select statement, or you will get a program to do insert values. Right? Even if it is a delete or an update, it is very much similar to your select statement. So let's see how to input values. So I'll show you the program from scratch. So the first line is import mysql.connector, then .connect, then cursor. Now here, first to write this program, you have to first construct the query for the insert statement. How do you do that? Insert into the table name values. How do you write the record here generally? Employee ID, employee name, designation, manager, basic pay 50,000, then gender, male or female, department, HR. So this is how you will insert a record. Insert into table name values, within bracket give all the required details. But the problem is you cannot directly insert these values. The question is given as input the values and insert it. So here you don't need this fetch at all. You just have to execute the query. After executing the query, you have to give a commit statement and close it. Right? Now, how to construct this query? By inputting these values. So the first one, employee ID, int of input ID. Then get the employee name, and then what is next? Designation, basic pay. Designation is a string, so I give DES and ask for the designation. Then the basic pay. Basic pay is an integer. Because name and designation are not integers, I'll remove that. For basic pay, get the input. Then for the gender, input, what is the gender, then what is the department, input department, right? Now I've got all the input values ready. What are the variables? EID, EN, DES, all these. Now what should I do here? To simply write a program, first in your exam question paper you can write a comment like this. You can make this as a comment line. Then instead of this 101, simply put a bracket like this. Remove this, put a bracket. Remove the value, put a bracket. Remove the value, put a bracket. Replace all the values with a bracket. This is how you have to easily construct a query. Now put dot format and give all the variables one by one. Employee ID, employee name, designation, basic pay, gender, department, and close the bracket. Very simple. So I've given 6 brackets here. For that I've given 6 variables here. So to check if it works correctly, I'll print this query for you to be shown on the screen. See. Now it's asking for the ID 22566. New ID, name Renu, designation manager, basic pay 45,000, gender female, department sales. Insert into employee values. It's beautifully constructed and the value is also inserted because it doesn't show any error, which means the records are inserted. We'll check this once in MySQL. Employee in MySQL, let me check if the record is added now. So look at the values. Look at the last record, the value which I inserted now, 2255 Renu manager is now inserted as sales department, right? So this is how you write a program from Python to connect to MySQL. Thank you. If you have any queries, post in the comment section.